I was thinking about something here, and I read an article yesterday. I went and read this article yesterday. It's from the Chicago Tribune, and it goes back to, it was May 1st, 2015, from Dylan Glatton, okay? And this is a Chicago Tribune. Who pays for the Obama Library? Private donors and taxpayers? As Chicagoans hear the news that the South Side will host the Obama Presidential Library, some may ask, who's going to pay for that? Well, in the short time I have, I can't go into all the details of who pays for it. But I do know this, okay? Last year, this is one part, last year, taxpayers, you spent $66 million on the 13 presidential libraries across the country. That's about 21 cents per U.S. resident. Now, let me say this. There should be an achievement level. Presidential libraries have turned into just these massive places to stash the cash. Now, there's an imaginary vault in each and every one because they put all these phony foundations together and they put all these phony things together for you to donate, contribute, and put it into the library. When the reality is, how about let's make sure there's a limit? Let's have Congress pass something that says a library can only cost X. Why? That's not the American way. You know, that's not a capitalistic thought. No, it's a thought about your tax money. So should you really have to pay people to attend to Bill Clinton in the presidential library in Talking Rock, where rumors are there's an apartment on the top for old Slick Willie, and when he wants to have a friend or two over, should we pay the light bill? Should we pay the upkeep? Should we pay the person wearing the little uniform that says, I work for the presidential library? Where's all of it come from? The archives, the whole thing. 66 million doesn't sound like a lot, and when you put it into terms of 21 cents, what's the big deal? That's less than a cup of coffee a day. But I'll tell you this, you divide 66 million amongst the actual libraries that count in this country. The Fannin County Library, the Gilmer County, your local library. And boy, that would buy a lot of books. Because I know as technology progresses, we're not going to want, the next generation is not going to want to grab a book, okay? But I think we need to preserve the books in this country, and I think it's still going to be something that we should teach our children is how to turn pages in a book and have that joy, not just a computer screen. Now, shouldn't you have to have an achievement of some sort? Some sort of achievement to just be allowed to have a library. The last thing I could think of for 8 years is Barack Obama deserving any kind of library. The best thing he could do is try to forget what happened in the last 8 years. A presidential library? But then just yesterday he signed an executive order and saved the fishes because he saved the seas. I mean, they should change his name. Forget it. Okay? He's going to be God of the Arctic in the next lifetime. He's up in Alaska and out on the West Coast. Don't have time. Environmentalists. So who's going to give the money? I'm going to tell you what. Get ready, because the Obama Library will probably be bigger, better in many ways, and more things to see than Ronald Reagan. Now, I went to the Reagan Library. He reached the accomplishments that I think a president should to entitle him to have a library to allow us to visit history. I went in the Reagan Library, and one of the best days, one of the top days in a vacation that I've ever had the opportunity to spend for myself personally. I went there from morning and I stayed till they closed. I read everything, looked at everything. It was just history. Barack Obama's library? Really? Well, the lefties will pour the money in, and it will be dedicated to how he saved the fish, and dedicated how he made an attempt to save the world with the EPA and executive orders, and so on and so forth. So it'll be there. But I just got to thinking, a presidential library? Are you hearing, and I got a minute, are you hearing discussion on how history will record President Obama's time in office? Pay attention. You're going to hear them say 20, 30 years from now. Immediately won't be, what you think it should be, the liberals, but 20, 30 years from now, Obama's history, people will have it written to where he was a great president that saved us from an economic depression and collapse. The reason it's going to be 20, 30 years from now is because that's about the time revisionist historians could rewrite the bullcrap he gave us for 8 years, and the disaster he gave us in Obamacare, and the disaster he gave us in not saying Merry Christmas. Oh, God, the list goes on. But I want to ask the last thing before I close. Here's what I think there should be in the Obama library. You remember a couple months ago, we had the look on every magazine cover and everywhere of the little boy in Aleppo. The little boy that was in the back of the ambulance, shot in war. And we were being told by the liberal left we were seeing the face of war. And that really opened our eyes. Well, I tell you what, the picture of that little boy should have to be in Barack Obama's library. And I don't know how you sleep at night with your Arab Spring, Mr. President. And what happened to that little boy and his family and many others in Syria. I'm your host, BKP. It's time for George. I will be out of here. I will be here tomorrow. Check us out on Facebook. And tomorrow I'm going to do my annual Christmas message to you personally. I'm your host. Get us out of here. I'm running late. George, get in here.